So the first thing we're going to do for this bunny is to add in all of the important features here. So the stitch line to make the joints for the elbows and knees, as well as the head. We have the eyes, the nose, we have a dart as well. So all of these are really important, and I'm doing this with a friction pen because that is my favorite thing to use. All you have to do is you iron, and the heat rubs off or steams away this marking. So it has been my favorite thing. I use this over any other type of marking tool. I absolutely love it. There's pleating here on the arms, and this will help everything lay flat. So we're not like gathering in so to the body. It's going to be a pleat that's going to be flat on the body. After these details are marked, it's going to be time to start sewing, which I'm really excited to do. I'm really going to be following the directions like very carefully. When I'm sewing myself, I kind of make almost up like the directions as I go, but because this is like an accessory, like a teddy, I'm going to be following the directions because I don't really have that much knowledge about construction for these things. So I'm going to be following it quite closely, and I'm really excited for that. So first up, what I'm going to be doing is sewing the arms. Now the arm has like this little thumb, and also the fabric I'm using has like a thicker weave. So what I'm going to end up doing is reducing my stitch size. So no matter wear and play and all of those things, this is going to be a little stronger and will prevent it from falling apart. For the ears, I'm working with 3 layers here. So 2 layers of this like gray and then one of this lace. I thought it was just like another nice dimension. And my sister's child also has a dress that matches back to these ears already. So it's just kind of a nice little capsule moment. After clipping into the seam, I'm going to just turn this inside out and give it a nice hard press so we can begin moving to the other steps. So to be honest, I'm not 100% great at following direction because already here there is something I missed. This is actually supposed to be folded in half at the beginning of the ear where it attaches to the body. I didn't do that. I ended up attaching it a different way to the body, but it's okay. I'm adding the pleating of or the dart for the head as well as the eye placement and notches for those ears. Like I said, this should have been folded in half, but I ended up just sewing this all into that crown seam and it looks cute. I ended up adding a little tack to keep the ear flipped back slightly so you could see a little more of that lace. I'm going to call this a little design feature that I decided to change. So it's nothing wrong. It's just a little different. I did, however, follow directions for this part. Now, they wanted to add stay stitching and then trim notch down to that seam line to help stretch to the 2 side head pieces. Now, that's because this piece is a little bit smaller and you're doing these like clip notches so that the fabric can stretch to meet this measurement. So that means that this like piecing won't be like ribbly, it'll be nice and flat. And now this is where the 2 sides of the head, the ears, and that crown piece all get put together. All the notches are being met and it's stretched to that point. Now that piecing is a little short. It finishes off by the nose and then the 2 side pieces get sewn together without the crown piecing from underneath the nose to underneath the head. So we're leaving a little gap opening so that we can also add fluff later, and everything is looking really cute. I end up flipping this inside out. See, this is where you're sewing, where the crown piece stops and your nose and your nose to your neck piece gets sewed together,
this is
just the
now
two sides.
Completely finished. So we did from here to like this point here, which is like this right before the nose of the rabbit. And then with these points together, we're just closing the neck and the front of the mouth. And it's time to see our reveal so far. Another cute little bunny. So, oh my God, that's so sweet. So we have like the little, our little bunny face. Everything needs like a pretty decent steam. That would be where your eye is and your nose. But we have those little ears that flap open with our sweet little lace insert. So now we're working on the front body. So the two pieces are going to come together here. And then the legs. So the legs also have like a stitching here to add like a little fold for the knee. But it looks like we don't add that just quite yet. So let's move into the front body. In this part here to here. And now we're just going to clip through the curve so this lays nice and flat. I'm also going to go in and press that and then work on our legs.
So the legs I'm going to pin so that to make sure they are mirroring each other, and we're going to sew from like the top leg and leave like a little portion open and close all the way to the heel. Now, once that's done for both sides, I'm going to trim so that the curve edges lay nice and flat. When everything gets flipped inside out, I always love this step and I really try not to ever skip it. It's very important. It really does impact the overall look of the finished garment. That opening is going to be for your stuffing later because you're not filling from like the thigh down. You're filling from like the center of that leg down to the heel and back up.
So we have our little leg. I suppose we're going to stuff it later. So what I'm going to be doing is making this in the center, our seam. And we're going to go back and forth, a stay stitch, and then attach to the front body.
This is the pattern piece for the front bodice. And just to show you where we're attaching the leg, it goes right here. The stay stitching is just an extra little step to help secure everything.
The feet are facing up, just to double check. And we're just going to sew from here to here, just to tack it to the front body. Okay, so I already did the little darts here. I guess that's like the little butt part. And then the next thing is to sew the center back seam. Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to sewing the front and the back together. So everything is going to come all the way up to the neck, and we're pushing the legs inward. So I always start with like the top, match the seams, and then work my way all the way up so that everything is matching and really nice fitting. Everything is all together, and we're going to clip the curves. And then we're going to pull the legs out. Okay, and so everything is set for the body, the leggies. This is our belly, and she's starting to take shape. She's got a little curves over here. So cute. Okay, so I shoved it back in because I made a little bit of a mistake. I sewed the whole back seam here. However, we need to have a slight opening. So we're gonna sew the head on, put the right sides together, and the head facing back because this is like the butt with the darts. Okay, so this is like a little confusing. This is initially like what it says, like pin head to body, right sides together, and so, but what I think I'm going to do, because I can't for the life of me figure this out, is I'm turning the raw edges underneath, and I'm gonna sew the neck by hand. Because I'm doing this by hand, I want to make this like extra secure. I'm making the thread four times. So what that means is it's going to be like 4. So it's going to be like 4 threads. And that's gonna make it extra strong. And let's start sewing. So I'm going from the center and I'm making small stitches. I already have a little, well, I guess my press mark is kind of gone, but I pressed it initially like 1/4 centimeter under, and I am just 1/4 inch under, and I'm just doing like small little stitches. I'm coming all the way up. I'm lowering back down. So I'm just picking up like one little piece and working my way all the way around. I want this to be like very strong, like it's not going anywhere, so this head doesn't like pop off and scare the girl. That would not be fun. And I'm just working my way all the way around. So I'm moving like maybe like 1/8 of an inch at a time. So I'm gonna make a dress for our little bunny. This is a top that I was working on. However, I didn't have enough fabric and I had to abandon this. So we're going to use it for, so also what happened is I have a dress that matches this exactly. So the bunny and the baby will have the same dress because I did buy more fabric and I have everything. So I'm going to use this and we're gonna continue with this. So I have 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, and then this one, which I added 2 additional to match back to the dress, which I'll add a little flash of. So we're going to work on constructing the top here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the burrito method, and we're going to get to that right now. So we start by sewing the shoulders together. So because this dress has to get on the bunny, I'm going to leave one of the shoulders open so that it can be removed. I'll add like a little pins, add a little button or something here, enclosure. So here, and we're going to do the same for the inside, which will be the lining. So, and then with the right side sewed together, I'm just gonna sew all around the neckline and flip it so that the right sides are back out. Okay, we're going to understitch the neckline now. We're moving into a burrito method. I've never done this though without the shoulder, but we're gonna make this work because what happens, so we're gonna sew here and then we're gonna pull everything inside out. Everything gets pulled out from that shoulder. And now we have a clean seam, like so. We're gonna press and then repeat like on this side. So here and here. So to match back to the skirt portion of this dress that I also have made for my niece, I'm going to add this to the bottom of the skirt, and then everything is going to come all the way together. And then this is so far what it's actually so cute. This is actually what it looks like so far. Like all the lace is looking so cute together. The skirt portion is going to be a little bit shorter, but all in all it looks really cute. So I did a little stay stitch here, then we go all the way around. Next up, we are going to be quick gathering this skirt portion to be sewn into the bodice. What I end up doing is you can put the needle in first. I'm lengthening my stitch to a 4, and at the top, I'm going to like pinch this thread. So I'm like really increasing tension. So what happens when you increase tension on your sewing machine, you're going to get a puckering and gathering of the fabric. So normally when you're having fabric problems with puckering and it's not intentional, but this time it will be. So we have some gathering.
So we are now working the gathers into the top portion. Now this is the smallest dress I've ever made, so This was a little challenging just to work on the scale, but it's turning out so cute. I put all the pins in and then I take off that extra part of the sewing machine so this can be sewn on the machine and I don't have to do this by hand.
So with the skirt portion pinned only to the self of the top, we're going to sew all the way around. Then the lining is going to fold over and hide the seam allowance. Now, as we're pulling everything back, so cute. We're going to seam this. I'm going to add like a little belt at the bottom just to kind of reflect back on the dress. It's going to have a little, it's going to bow on the side. So I'm going to add that now.
So now the inside lining is going to get tucked and cover the skirt seam allowance so that everything looks really nice and neat. Even though this is a really small mini project, I do want the construction to be really nice and neat and clean.
So I closed up her little parts. So she had some in the back as well. She's all stuffed. She's looking pretty cute. Let's, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do here. I think I'm gonna add some snaps. So at some point I can make another dress for her and we can remove it. And let's continue on the other hand. So it's very clear the directions are really easy. I'm just really not the greatest at following them. So I'm going to remove the stitching here. This will help the arm lay a little bit better on the bunny so that it looks a little better also. So it's more of a pleat like that. Okay, we're looking much better. Thumbs up. But it looks like I need to follow more directions because this is better. This also looks like a good place for arms, and then they're just gonna get sewn on.
I ended up finishing the remaining details off camera. The eyes, I added some bows at the ears, and I also just ended up slip stitching that shoulder closed. I added a ribbon to the waistband so that it matches back to the dress, and I hope you really liked watching this video. Please like and subscribe for some more content. See you soon. Bye.